worth falling for. Oh, and with open arms I'll carry yours. Come, rain or shine, I'll cover you up and calm the skies. As long as you are mine, I'll be there when you need me.
What's good, you guys? As a solo wedding videographer myself, who once searched the web to learn as much as I possibly could before I had my first gig, I know how exciting and how nerve-wracking taking on your first wedding film can be. If you're a newer videographer and you're looking to get into the wedding film scene, then I think this video should at least help you a little bit along your journey. Even if you're a pro, you should still stick around and hang out because who knows? Maybe we'll become besties. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna assume that you already have a baseline knowledge of cameras, camera gear, and videography as a whole. So I'm not gonna go into detail about minute little things that I happen to talk about in this video. So without further ado, here's my 4 tips for you as a solo videographer on your very first wedding film. First and foremost, let's talk about SD cards. Please, for the love of God, make sure the night before when you're getting ready and you're organizing your gear that you don't forget to format your SD cards. The night before my first wedding, well really months before my first wedding, I planned and I planned and I planned and I over-prepared and made sure I had all my gear ready. I was watching tutorials. I went through Full-Time Filmmaker's Wedding Video Pro course. I like to come prepared to things, but out of all of that preparation, the one thing I forgot to do was format my SD cards. So by the end of the ceremony, which was only about halfway through the day, I was actually full on my SD cards. So I had to make a pit stop to a local store called Walgreens, and I had to buy a couple overpriced SD cards to help me get through the rest of that day. Yeah, it was a bit stressful because I didn't even realize the reason why my SD cards had filled up so quickly. I didn't think I had shot that much, but turns out the next day when I was going through the files that I forgot to delete the almost 200 gigs worth of video from a previous shoot that I was working on for myself. So don't make that same mistake. Make sure out of all the planning and pre-prepping and organizing you do before your first day, make sure your SD cards are formatted, make sure you have the space, and make sure you have everything that you need ready to go. One important thing I really do want to mention while we're on the topic is the importance of getting yourself a nice portable and reliable SD card holder case. Now I have this one made by a company called Rugard. I think that's how you say it. I bought it on B&H for about 20 bucks. I'll have a link below so you can check this out yourself if you're interested. But it just opens up and it's got this nice, don't look at my face. Yeah, nice, secure, tight, clean case. So you know you're prepared, and when you're in a pinch and you need a new SD card, you know exactly where to find it, you know they're safe, you know they're not gonna be messed up or dirty or lost in your Pelican case underneath a bunch of audio cables. On my very first wedding day, I did not have storage for my SD cards, so I had 4 or 5 of them just wildly on the loose in my case. And by the end of the day, I really needed one more card, and I spent a good couple minutes just trudging through my case trying to find where that last SD card was. So I cannot recommend spending the 20 bucks, or even less in some cases if you find a different one, on a nice SD card holder. This will literally give you so much more confidence in your day when you just know where you keep everything. And tip number 2, the nerves won't last. You know exactly the nerves I'm talking about. When you agree to do something that you've always wanted to do, but you end up paralyzed by crippling anxiety because you're overthinking every little detail of how you could possibly just thing up. You're nervous. It's new, it's exciting, it's scary, it's exhilarating. There's a whole mixture of emotions, and it's not fun to feel anxious. But we all feel it from time to time, and it is completely normal. I'm here to let you know that it's gonna be okay. I promise you, you will get through the day no matter what kind of thoughts are going on up there in your head. As soon as you get started with your day and you get into a groove, you're gonna realize just how quickly you adapt and you start getting used to the people around you. At least that's how it works for me. I'm always super anxious and I overthink things and I worry so much about doing the perfect job that I can. But my main point here is that pretty much nothing is ever as bad as we make it out to be beforehand. And we have made it this far in life and survived everything we've gone through. So let that be a reminder to you when you're in a moment of freaking out to just take a step back, take a breath, and just think to yourself, I'm gonna get through this. It won't be as bad as I think it will. Chances are it'll actually be a really great time. Because it usually is. People are just super friendly more often than not, and they'll be respectful of you when they see you working with a camera, especially if you're working closely with a photographer. But by the end of the day, you'll end up feeling super confident and so much more comfortable with yourself. I mean, for me, I always end up feeling like I've made a bunch of friends by the end of a wedding day. Even though they're my clients, I still try to get to know people and just have a good time. I try not to take things too seriously and overthink myself to death. It just helps, to remind myself 9 times out of 10, everything works out just fine and I will survive, and chances are I'm gonna have an excellent time. Don't stress yourself out too much. Don't worry too much. I mean, I know you're going to a little bit. It's pretty normal, but I promise you, you'll get through the day. And tip number 3 is introduce yourself to the photographer and the wedding planner if possible. Now this one's a huge tip to help make sure that your first day isn't a complete disaster. Reach out and introduce yourself to the photographer and the wedding planner if you can. Those 2 people or more are gonna be your saving grace on your first day. One of the first things that I always do at the very beginning of a wedding day, actually even before the wedding day, is I reach out to the photographer and the wedding planner, pretty much the 2 biggest people that you're gonna be working closely with on the wedding day. And I just make it a point to introduce myself, let them know how excited I am to meet them, that I am to work with them. And then when you do finally meet them, just to show them that you're a super fun person, you're really laid back, you're chill, you're professional, yet you're there to have a good time and do a job and work with everybody else to make the day a success. And honestly, just when you first meet the photographer, ask them if they mind if you work with them. Just let them know, like, hey, this is my first wedding. Would you mind if I work alongside you for most of the day so I can kind of see how these things work? And then if there's ever a shot that I specifically need, hey, I'll make sure I ask you so I'm not interrupting you or getting in the way of one of your shots. Guys, this one is really simple. Just be a nice human. Stop having so much pride and just offer to work with people rather than ignoring those people and only focusing on the job that you are there to do. Because I promise you, if you're selfish, self-centered, and you only focus on your job and what you're trying to accomplish, nobody's gonna like you. Just be nice, be humble, and be willing to learn from other people and have a good time. Work with people. And tip number 4 is to not overthink your gear. Just use what gear you already have. Don't get caught up in the vortex of YouTube because you'll end up with a closet full of gear that you've been convinced you need in order to be a good filmmaker. Trust me, because it happened to me. I suffered from gear acquisition syndrome. You end up feeling overwhelmed and you don't even know how to begin or what to start with or what to use because you just have way too many options in front of you because you didn't take the time to learn the very basics of filmmaking, which is just you and your camera. So what I really recommend is just getting to know your camera that you already have inside and out until you hit a point with it that you have to upgrade in order for yourself to improve and reach that next level. Buying new gear will not make you a better filmmaker, I promise. Honestly, I could make an entire video just on the topic of the paradox of choice because I think it's crazy how many choices we all are bombarded with on a daily basis. Let me know down in the comments if you guys would be interested in some self-development type videos as well on this channel if I were to talk about something in depth like the paradox of choice. I'm very philosophical and I love to talk about things, so let me know. Anyway, just use whatever gear you already have. And if you don't have any gear at all yet, then don't break the bank thinking that you need the latest and greatest, most expensive camera and camera gear. Start small in the beginning. Just give yourself a small foundation that you can build upon over time, rather than spending thousands of dollars on building up a foundation that you don't even know what to do with. Just be honest with the couple that you're working with. Let them know, hey, this is my first wedding. I don't have that much experience. That way, the expectations are set ahead of time. That way, you can just focus on performing the best that you can and treating it as a learning experience and letting yourself have fun. Don't go into debt just thinking that you have to have every single thing. Trust me, I went through it thinking that I had to have all of this gear because I like to prepare for things a little bit too much, and I tend to over-research, over-learn, and over-educate myself. So I did get sucked into it. Now don't get me wrong, I love camera gear, I love cameras, everything with filmmaking I just love. So I'm gonna be making videos at some point where I recommend products that I use and that I love. So I'm not trying to say that those videos here on YouTube are bad and that you should stay away from them, because that's just not true. All I'm trying to say is just focus more on physically using the camera that you have and learning new filming techniques and lighting techniques before you go spending a bunch of money on a bunch of gear like gimbals and monopods and extra tripods and sliders and all the things that are just extra that can enhance your workflow if you know how to use it and when you want to use it. So I think it helps to approach a new business in the same aspect. Yes, you absolutely should invest in yourself and your business and to be as successful as you can. I mean, we all want quality. We all want to create an excellent product for the people that we are working for and working with. But today's technology is insane. Cameras that we have available to us today are just insane. Don't let YouTube or anybody else convince you that just because you have a camera from 2 or 3 years ago that it doesn't hold up to today's standards, because that's also just a crock of shit. The majority of these new cameras are amazing and you can get away with filming a beautiful wedding on budget gear, I promise you. Alrighty, so those are my 4 tips for those of you new to wedding filmmaking, or for those of you who are thinking of just dipping their toes into wedding filmmaking, but maybe have some anxieties about it. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Hit that like button down below, which really helps my channel grow, and it tells YouTube that they should be super friendly to this video and promote it to more people out there who could probably benefit from it. If you're new here, my name is Cameron. I own a filmmaking business called CH Imaging. My website is down in the description if you're interested or you'd like to check that out. And here on this YouTube channel, we're trying to build a new community where we can just hang out, have a good time, and hopefully build some friendships. I mean, we're all about filmmaking, tutorials, self-development, the occasional vlog, hiking. You know what? I was gonna go on a whole spiel about hitting that subscribe button and giving you reasons why, but you should probably just do it so we can hang out and get to know each other, and that would be super cool. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video, guys.